Good morning. Welcome back to the biology class. We have started the chapter 6 and almost going to complete the chapter. And today is the 13th session we will be going through. Okay. Before moving ahead in the chapter today, let us see what we have studied in the last class. Let's have a quick recap. We had studied in the previous class about the mechanism of photosynthesis. We discussed about two phases of photosynthesis, that is light and light dependent phase. The main steps that included were activation of chlorophyll, splitting of water, photolysis of water. Okay. Then we studied about the definition I had given you. I had explained to you the definition of photolysis of water. How does the formation of ATP takes place from ADP? Process of phosphorylation and explanation of photophosphorylation was given to you. Then I had explained you how does the formation of NADPH takes place. Furthermore, I had also explained you about the dark or the light independent phase. I told you why it is called as dark phase and why it is explained as light independent phase, since the process is not dependent on the presence or absence of light. We had under this topic we had seen how does the fixation of atmospheric carbon dioxide takes place into the formation of organic food material, that is through the carbon dioxide acceptor, that is RUBP, ribulose bisphosphate. Then the reaction is the reaction of this fixation of atmospheric carbon dioxide was catalyzed by an enzyme called ribisco. Then I had explained you about the main events during the photosynthesis from the beginning till the end, how does the organic food material is built up or how it is made. I had explained you the difference between light and dark reaction and the end product of the products of photosynthesis. The end product basically included glucose, water and oxygen. Then conversion of glucose into starch and their organic compounds was also explained to you at the last. Let's move further. Today what we are going to study, we will be seeing factors affecting photosynthesis. Then the factors basically include some external factors as well as some internal factors. External factors will include light. Light is a very important external factor. Moving further, carbon dioxide concentration. Carbon dioxide concentration is yet another external factor which plays a very vital and important role in the process of photosynthesis. Then the next one we'll be seeing is temperature. Then the last but not the least will be the water content. As we all know, water is a very important raw material which is required during the process of photosynthesis. So definitely water content will affect the process of photosynthesis, and it will be a very important factor to carry out the process. Then coming to the internal factor, light itself will be divided into quality of light and intensity of light. Means the factors or the light being a factor, the quality of light as well as the intensity of light, both of it will play a major role and will affect the process of photosynthesis. Moving further, there are some internal factors also. The internal factors that we'll be studying is chlorophyll content. As we all know, chlorophyll is the green color pigment and it plays a very important role in photosynthetic reaction. Okay, we'll be studying about protoplasm, the living material of the cell, and also the structure of the leaf that plays the very important role in a very important factor. These all will come under internal factors. After completing this, we will be understanding the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, how does the rate of photosynthesis affected by various factors? Then I'll be explaining about dawn to dusk, from morning to the evening, what are the natural changes in the environmental condition and how it is related to photosynthesis. Last, I'll be explaining you about the carbon cycle, where I'll be explaining you about the steps in carbon cycle that will include photosynthesis, food chain, respiration, decay, combustion, and at last heating and burning of limestones. After completing all this, I'll be explaining you about how imbalance of carbon dioxide is brought about. Okay, so this is all about that today we are going to complete. So the very first topic, that is factors affecting photosynthesis. Broadly speaking, there are 4 external and 3 internal factors, as I have shown you here. 4 external and 3 internal factors. External factors will include light, carbon dioxide concentration, temperature, and water content. Light, as we all know, is the most important factor for photosynthesis. We cannot imagine photosynthesis to take place without light. Here, quality and intensity of light plays a very important role or affects the photosynthetic process. Starting with quality of light, highest rate of photosynthesis takes place in red and blue light. You all know when the white light, okay, the sunlight is in the form of white light. It is composed of 7 colors that we can see when it passes through a prism. Through dispersion, it gets divided into 7 colors, or a spectrum. It is divided in that spectrum itself. The red and blue light, okay, photosynthesis will take place in this region. Minimum in the green light, and minimum amount of photosynthesis will take place in green light of the white light. We all know white light is composed of 7 colors. No photosynthesis will take place in darkness, as it was told earlier in the previous class. When there is no light, photosynthesis is not possible. Okay, so the photosynthesis will best occur between in a range between red and blue light. So this is the quality of light, okay, on which the photosynthetic activity depends. Moving on further, the next is intensity of light. Okay, intensity of light also plays a very important role, since photosynthesis will increase with the increase in the light intensity. We may think that it is true to some extent, but what actually happens, if you think that if we keep on increasing the intensity of light, the photosynthesis rate will also increase? No, it is not so. It will increase to some extent, but afterwards it will become constant. Photosynthesis increases with the light intensity up to a certain limit only. It gets stabilized at a point S dash, where the carbon dioxide concentration is 0.02%. So actually what happens, the photosynthetic activity does not depend on one factor, but there are so many factors which all together affect on its activity. So light intensity along with the carbon dioxide concentration plays a very important role here. You can see, we can understand it with the help of this diagram. Okay, this graph, where we can see as there is an increase in the light intensity, the rate of photosynthesis will rise, okay, till when the carbon dioxide concentration is 0.02, okay, and it will become constant. You can see it has become constant, and this point at where it has become constant, that is, you can see it has been shown by S dash. Okay, this is the highest rate of photosynthesis has reached at 0.02% of carbon dioxide concentration. Okay, so rate of photosynthesis will stabilize at 0.02%. Okay, furthermore, if you increase the carbon dioxide concentration at this level, we will again find a steep rise in the rate of photosynthesis, as we can see here. As the carbon dioxide concentration is increased from 0.02 to 0.05%, there is a rise in the rate of photosynthesis, and after reaching the 0.05 concentration, it again becomes stabilized. Highest rate of photosynthesis is reached at 0.05 concentration of carbon dioxide. This is marked by S double dash. Okay, so we can see here when we are talking about intensity of light, this also depends upon the concentration of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide concentration also plays a very important role, or it is related. Both of it are related. Okay, or one can say that factors, or the carbon dioxide concentration and intensity of light, they show together their effect. Okay, so this was the graph which shows the photosynthesis at increasing light intensities and carbon dioxide concentration. We can see here the intensity of light as we are increasing, the rate of photosynthesis increases. But here it also depends on the concentration of carbon dioxide, which we have seen it has become stabilized at 0.02% concentration. Furthermore, again by increasing the percentage to 0.05%, we will find a steep rise in the rate of photosynthesis, and it will again become stabilized. So this was about the intensity of light. Okay, it gets stabilized at the plant S dash, at the point S dash, where the concentration of carbon dioxide is 0.02%. If at this point the carbon dioxide concentration is increased, the photosynthesis also increases further, as I have explained you. It gets stabilized at the point S double dash, that is 0.05% carbon dioxide for the two factors together. What are the two factors together? Carbon dioxide concentration and intensity of light. Okay, then the next factor that we are going to see is carbon dioxide concentration. So this is also an second external factor. So the rate of photosynthesis will definitely increase with the increase in carbon dioxide concentration, as we have seen here in the example. This happens under optimum condition of temperature and light intensity, when the temperature and light are optimum. Optimum temperature is the that particular temperature at which the photosynthetic activity takes place the best. Concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is only 0.03%. So in the atmosphere, the percentage of carbon dioxide is 0.03%. Its increase up to 0.1% increases the rate of photosynthesis. So when the concentration of carbon dioxide increases up to 0.1%, there will be a rise in the photosynthetic activity. But beyond this concentration, the rate of photosynthesis will decrease. Okay, as we all know, excess of anything is bad. Okay, if you think that if we keep on increasing the carbon dioxide concentration, the rate of photosynthesis will also increase. It is not so, because what will happen after a point, it will become this carbon dioxide concentration, increasing carbon dioxide concentration will become a limiting factor, and instead of increasing the rate of photosynthesis, the rate of photosynthesis will become stabilized. The next external factor is temperature. We all know that at an optimum temperature is required for the best activity of the enzymes. As we all know, photosynthesis is a biochemical as well as a physiological process. Okay, when I use the term biochemical, means here various types of enzymes are utilized to carry out the biological functions of photosynthesis. Okay, so we all know all enzymes are proteinaceous, or they are made up of protein. Okay, and protein gets denatured at a very high temperature. That is why when the temperature is very high, the photosynthetic activity gets affected, since the enzymes become denatured or they become inactive. They are unable to show their activity. Therefore, they are unable to catalyze the photosynthetic reactions. So the rate of photosynthesis rises with the rise in temperature. This rise occurs up to an optimum temperature of 35 degrees Celsius. So if we keep on increasing the temperature to 35 degrees Celsius, we will find that there is a increase in the rate of photosynthesis definitely. This is the maximum suitable temperature when the photosynthesis occurs best, that is 35 degrees Celsius. With the increase in the temperature above 35 degrees Celsius, what will happen? We will find a fall in the rate of photosynthesis. Why will it happen? Because the enzymatic activity will be degraded, or the enzymes will become inactive. Photosynthesis will completely stop above 40 degrees Celsius. At the temperature more than 40 degrees Celsius, as nowadays the temperature is 40 degrees Celsius, so hot it is, isn't it? So you can simply understand at such a high temperature, definitely the photosynthetic activity will be affected. At its uppermost limit, the enzymes are destroyed. As I have told you, what actually happens, the enzymes get destroyed or they become distorted, due to which they are unable to catalyze the photosynthetic reactions. Furthermore, the rise of 10 degrees up to the maximum optimum temperature. The maximum optimum temperature is 35 degrees Celsius. So the rise of 10 degrees up to means up to 10 degrees means the 25 to 35 10 degrees, okay, or in between that, an optimum temperature of 35, it will double the rate of photosynthesis. Okay, so the next thing that we are going to say is the water content. As we all know, water is very important factor. It is a raw material, and suppose there is scarcity of water, naturally that will affect the rate of photosynthesis, because when there is water in proper amount, the cells are fully turgid, the guard cells are open. When the stomata is open, then what will happen? Exchange of gases can take place. If the guard cells are not fully turgid, the stomatal aperture will get closed. That will certainly affect the rate of photosynthesis. So the scarcity of water due to the reduced absorption from the soil is due to excessive loss through transpiration. Suppose excessive loss of water is taking place through transpiration, naturally that will directly affect the rate of photosynthesis. Due to the closure of stomata, the diffusive capacity, that is the carbon dioxide intake, will decrease, and that will definitely decrease the rate of photosynthesis. One more very important thing, you know that whatever amount of water is being absorbed by the roots, out of that only 1% of water is absorbed by the root, is utilized, and the rest of it is transpired out, it is excreted out by the process of transpiration. So this was about the external factors. Okay, let us now move towards the internal factors. As I have written here, the internal factors will basically include the chlorophyll content. You all know chlorophyll is a very important pigment to carry out the process of photosynthesis. So definitely the content, the amount of chlorophyll that is present in the plant will determine the amount of photosynthesis taking place by the plant. Then we'll be moving towards the protoplasm and structure of the leaf also. So chlorophyll content, the nutritional deficiencies of minerals cause loss of chlorophyll. Suppose the minerals are there is a deficiency of mineral in the soil. Definitely when the plant will not get proper amount of minerals, okay, or the nutritional deficiency will be there, the plant will not be, or it will be unable to synthesize chlorophyll pigment. And when there will be a deficiency in the chlorophyll content, definitely that will affect the rate of photosynthesis. This brings a drop in trapping the solar energy. Since chlorophyll pigment will not be there, it cannot trap the solar energy. Therefore, chlorophyll content, which is the internal factor, also plays a very important and vital role. The next thing is protoplasm. Protoplasm is the living material of the cell. Talking about this, suppose when there is a loss in the protoplasm, definitely that will affect the activity of the photosynthesis. Since dehydration of photosynthesis for some reason, suppose the protoplasm dehydrates, that will reduce the rate of photosynthesis, because when the living material will not be activated, when it is not functioning properly, it will affect the physiological as well as the biosynthetic activities and reactions. Furthermore, suppose there is accumulation of carbohydrates such as sugar and starch in large amount, that will also create a hindrance, or that will also reduce the rate of photosynthesis, since it is not removed for the photosynthesis to take place. It needs a clear pathway. When the pathway is not clear, definitely when amount of stored material is too much in the plants, okay, that will hinder the process of photosynthesis. Next we will be studying about the structure of leaf. The thickness of cuticle or thinness of cuticle also plays a very important role. Okay, the distribution of stomata on the stomata on the upper and lower surface of the leaf, and the size of the leaf also, because more is the size, more is the exposed part towards the sunlight. Okay, that will influence the amount of light, okay, that is absorbed by the leaf, that will be absorbed by the chlorophyll. And and the amount of carbon dioxide that will enter the leaf, means the number of stomata, the number or the surface area of the leaf, that will determine the amount of carbon dioxide that will enter inside the leaf, because these are the raw materials which are sunlight. Okay, that is definitely that can be achieved more when the exposed surface is more. Okay, so that will, in this way, this structure of leaf plays a very important role. Let us move on to the next topic, that is rate of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is maximum at when there is maximum light, and carbon dioxide is optimum, means the carbon dioxide concentration is good, as well as a normal temperature of 35 degrees Celsius, that is the optimum temperature. The rate of photosynthesis will be influenced by any of the factor. If any of the factor there is a decrease or increase, that will affect on the rate of photosynthesis. If any of the factor is short in supply, this factor is called limiting factor. Okay, so any of the factor, that is concentration of carbon dioxide, temperature, and light intensity, any of it is in more or less in amount, that will be the limiting factor. Less, suppose there is less light intensity, enough carbon dioxide, and suitable temperature, that will result into less photosynthesis, because one of the factor is a limiting factor here. Less carbon dioxide, enough of light, and suitable temperature. Enough of light is there, suitable temperature is there, but carbon dioxide is less. Here carbon dioxide will be a limiting factor, while this will lead to less photosynthesis. Suppose the temperature is less, enough of light, and intensity of light is suitable, carbon dioxide concentration will be affected, and that will also result in less photosynthesis. So this is about the rate of photosynthesis, that depends on directly depends on the factor. If any of the factor becomes less, that will affect it in an adverse way. Okay, let us move on to the next topic, that is dawn to dusk, means from the morning to the evening, what are the natural changes that are taking place. Okay, every morning, in every period of 24 hours, we all know a day, when we calculate a day, it consists of 24 hours. The plants are subjected to regular cycles of changes in light intensities. From morning till the evening, you will find a plant is subjected to various intensities of light. The morning it will be quite different, in the afternoon it will be quite different, while in the evening it will be quite different. The rate of photosynthesis increases from dawn to midday. That is, the rate of photosynthesis will increase from dawn to midday. From midday to the evening, to the dusk, it will decline. Plants, like other organisms, they respire, taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. In light, the effects of this respiratory activity are marked by photosynthesis, and there is net output of oxygen. When there is proper light, okay, the photosynthetic process will take place, but that light should be optimum. Okay, optimum amount of light, rest of the conditions are proper, maximum amount of photosynthesis will take place. On the contrary, in darkness, what will happen? In darkness, when there is no light, respiration alone will take place. Okay, it is the respiratory process that will take place, and whatever changes are taking place in the plant, or biochemical changes that are taking place in the plant, that it is brought about by the respiratory activities. Means the gaseous exchange or respiratory gaseous exchange is taking place by the plant from its surrounding atmosphere. So this is all about the dawn to dusk natural changes, where what happens in the morning, the intensity of light is less. As we move towards the midday, it becomes the maximum, and again to the evening time it becomes less. And in the night, what happens? When there is no sun, no light, no photosynthetic activity takes place. Only respiratory activities takes place by the plant. So these are the changes in environmental condition in our 24 hours, and the photosynthetic changes that are taking place in the plant. Let us move on to the carbon cycle. We will be understanding about carbon cycle. I will be explaining about the steps in carbon cycle: photosynthesis, food chain, respiration, decay, combustion, heating, and burning of limestones. So we will be moving ahead with carbon dioxide. So today what we have, the things that we have seen altogether, we have seen the external and internal factors. The external factors included the light, where we have seen quality of light, intensity of light. Then we had seen the next external factor, that was carbon dioxide concentration. We have seen temperature as the external factor. We have seen water content as the external factor. Okay, the internal factors that we saw was the chlorophyll content, protoplasm, structure of leaf. Then we discussed about the rate of photosynthesis, and ultimately I had explained you about the natural changes that are taking from the morning till the evening. Let us start with the carbon cycle now. You can see I have drawn the carbon cycle over here. Carbon cycle starts with the absorption of carbon dioxide from the air by the plants, isn't it? By the process of photosynthesis. We can see here, by the process of photosynthesis, the atmospheric carbon fixation of atmospheric carbon dioxide takes place, and it gets converted into carbon compounds in the plant. So carbon dioxide from the air is converted into carbon compounds in the plants. Then these carbon compounds in the plant can be after death and decay. Okay, they can be broken down by fungi, and the decomposition of this plants can take place, which will be brought about by bacteria and fungi, which are the decomposers of the soil. Okay, then these carbon compounds in the plants can come to carbon compounds in the animals. When these animals feed upon this plant, it will get converted in the form of carbon compound in animals. From the animals death and decay, what will happen? Again, it will return to the soil. The carbon compound will return to the soil by the bacterial and the fungal activity. Then through the excretion of the animals, the carbon compound again is brought to the soil, where it is broken down through urine and feces. That will be broken down. That urine and feces will be broken down by bacterial and fungal activity, and decomposition of that fecal matter will take place, and again what will happen? Carbon dioxide will come to the soil. Okay, the carbon dioxide will enter in the microorganisms, that is bacteria and fungi, upon their decomposition, or sometimes it will get due to fossilization. The carbon dioxide will be released when fossil fuels are burned. Okay, carbon compounds in fossil fuels, from combustion again it will return to the atmosphere, or by the respiratory activity of the plants, animals, and the microorganism, again through respiratory process, it will move into the atmosphere, forming carbon dioxide. So this is very simple. Okay, very simple cycle showing carbon cycle. So that actually what happens. Carbon cycle is a series of chemical reaction in which carbon as a chemical element, that is in the form of carbon dioxide, is removed from the air, used by living organisms in their body process, and is finally returned to the, it has come into the body, it has been used by the body processes, and again it comes back to the environment, or it again comes back to the air. Carbon is the building material of all the organic compounds found in the living cells. For example, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acid. There are three reservoirs of carbon in nature, that is atmosphere, oceans, petroleum, and coal. So atmosphere, as we all know, that is the greatest or the biggest reservoir of carbon in the form of carbon dioxide. Then comes the oceans, where it is dissolved in the water, and in the form of coal and petroleum. So these are the three reservoirs of carbon. Atmosphere is the main reservoir of carbon, and it forms in the form of carbon dioxide. Some carbon dioxide is also available in the form that is dissolved in water. Most of the carbon dioxide will enter in the living world through photosynthesis. Most of the carbon dioxide, as we all know, will enter into the world, that is atmospheric carbon dioxide, will come in the plants as well, in the plants, and from the plants to the animals by the process of photosynthesis. Means carbon dioxide fixation will take place by the process of photosynthesis, where carbon dioxide is converted into carbon compounds or the organic molecules. Most of the carbon dioxide enters the living world through the process of photosynthesis. Organic compounds so formed are transferred to herbivores and carnivores in the form of food. Means the plants will be eaten by the herbivores and the herbivore animals will be eaten by the carnivores. So in this way, there will be a movement of carbon from one trophic level to the other trophic level. Okay. During the process of respiration, decay of dead plants and animals and combustion of fossil fuels. Decay, okay, you can see here decay, okay, and death, okay, then it will be acted upon by the microorganisms, and again through fossilization also it will acted upon by the respiratory process of the microorganisms, and it will again come back to the environment. It is because of the carbon cycle, the proportion of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is same. We find the concentration of carbon dioxide will remain same just because of this carbon cycle. It is being utilized by the green plants by the process of photosynthesis, and again by the process of combustion, respiration, it again move back to the atmosphere. Okay, so let us see the steps that are required in carbon cycle. The very first step is photosynthesis. As we all know, I have told you in this chapter itself, photosynthetic process, which is brought about by the green plants, which are the producers. They use carbon dioxide of the air to produce carbohydrates in the form of sugar and starch. The next step is food chain. Through food chain, I have explained enough. Through the food chain means from the plants to the animals, from the animal to the decomposers, from the decomposers either through the fossilization or through the respiration. So this is the different trophic levels. Through food chains, the food containing carbon in carbohydrates and other products passes from plants to the animals, that are the consumers. Carbon is the essential element of all body tissues of both plants as well as that of the animals. Then the next step is respiration. Okay, through the process of respiration, all plants and animals, they all are living beings, so they carry out the process of respiration. They respire by oxidizing the carbohydrates in their cells. Why do they respire? In order to produce energy, to give out carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And the byproduct of respiration is carbon dioxide that will move on to the atmosphere. Furthermore, the next step is decay. Upon the death of the organic material, that is the plant or the animals, they are consumed by bacteria or other small microorganisms. They bring about decomposition. That's why they are called as decomposers. In the process, they break down the organic matter. In this process, they will break down the organic matter and release the carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. Means through the combustion, okay, respiration I have told you, death and decay you can see here, it is coming back, and again it will come back to the atmosphere. So this was about the decay. Then combustion, when fossil fuels are burned, such as wood, coal, okay, petroleum, natural gas. What happens? The carbon dioxide which is contained is released. The organic matter gets oxidized to carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide is given back to the atmosphere. All these fuels are named originally. They come from living organisms itself. Then, upon heating and burning of limestone in lime kilns, that also releases certain amount of carbon dioxide. Okay, so this was all about the various steps that takes place in the process of carbon cycle. This carbon cycle is also very important from examination point of view. You need to go through it. Let us see the imbalance of carbon cycle. What do you think there is imbalance in the carbon cycle? Definitely, as the amount of due to burning of fossil fuel, large amount of engines which are releasing large amount of carbon dioxide, that has brought about an imbalance in the proportion of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. These days, we all know fossil fuels are being used at a massive scale in homes, industries, for the transportation purposes. So this is steadily or day by day it is increasing the amount of carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere. So if the carbon dioxide concentration is increasing, usually what happens, the normal amount of concentration of carbon dioxide when it is there, it is utilized by the green plant for the process of photosynthesis. But suppose there is excess of carbon dioxide, that cannot, all of the carbon dioxide cannot be absorbed. Since carbon dioxide concentration also means it acts as a limiting factor. If too much if the concentration increases, naturally what will happen, the photosynthetic activity will get stabilized. If it cannot increase, the photosynthetic activity will not increase. This excess carbon dioxide cannot be consumed by the plants during the photosynthesis and will remain in the atmosphere. Since it remains in the atmosphere, it will show its deleterious effect ultimately cause pollution. Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas that will trap the solar energy. When too much amount of carbon dioxide will be there in the atmosphere, it will start to trap the solar energy, due to which the temperature of the earth will increase. Okay, that is why this carbon dioxide gas is one of the greenhouse gas which will show the greenhouse effect, due to which the temperature of the earth is increasing day by day. So the sun's radiation will be absorbed by this carbon dioxide and it will not allow it to escape. This will cause global warming and greenhouse effect. Only a slight rise in the temperature may cause the polar ice to melt. Due to these changes, when even a slight rise on the temperature will take place, the polar ice will start to melt. We all know what is polar ice. The ice which are present at the polar ends of the globe of the earth. So naturally, when ice will melt, it will turn into what? The melting of polar ice will raise the sea level. When the sea level will raise, naturally what will happen? The sea coast, all the sea coast will get submerged under water. They will become flooded. This will result in submerging of number of cities along the coastal areas of all around the world. So this will show a deleterious effect this is the imbalance of the carbon cycle. That is the present scenario that we will see. After this, we will be moving towards the PowerPoint presentation that I have prepared. There are some questions that I have selected that you are supposed to do in your biology copy. Along with this, as I will complete this chapter, you will have to write, I will provide the notes as well as the question and answer that you need to write in your copy. Please complete those work that I will be giving you in the notes as well as on the website that you need to complete in your copy. So these 6 chapters that we will be completing, that will only be the portion for the first semester. You need to prepare it by heart, and every exercises you need to do. Okay, and whatever homework I'm giving you, you need to complete it in your copy. Let us move on to the PowerPoint presentation of the day. Chapter 6, Photosynthesis. This is a continuation of the last that I had explained you in the last session. Here we'll be understanding about factors affecting photosynthesis. We will be seeing about external factors, internal factors, rate of photosynthesis, carbon cycle and its steps, and at last imbalance of carbon cycle. Factors affecting photosynthesis. There are 4 external and 3 internal factors which affects photosynthesis. External factors: light, carbon dioxide concentration, temperature, and water content. Light. It is the most important factor for photosynthesis. Quality and intensity of light affects the process of photosynthesis. Quality of light. Highest rate of photosynthesis takes place in red and blue light. Minimum in green light of the white light. White light, we all know, is composed of 7 colors. No photosynthesis will take place in darkness. It gets stabilized at a point, that is S dash, at a percentage 0.02 concentration of carbon dioxide. If at this point the carbon dioxide concentration is increased, the photosynthesis also increases further. It gets stabilized at a point S dash, S double dash, when the concentration of carbon dioxide is 0.05% for the two factors together. So the two factors will act together. Intensity of light. Photosynthesis increases with the increase in the light intensity. Some extent it is true. Photosynthesis increase with the light intensity up to a certain limit only. As we can see here in the diagram, with the increasing light intensity, we can see in the graph, with the increasing light intensity, the rate of photosynthesis has initially increased, but at a concentration of 0.02% of carbon dioxide concentration, it becomes stabilized. Okay, highest rate of photosynthesis is reached at 0.02% concentration of carbon dioxide. This is marked by S dash. So photosynthesis will vary at different light intensities. Furthermore, with the increase in the light intensity, if the carbon dioxide concentration is also increased from 0.02 to 0.5, there is a sharp increase in the rate of photosynthesis that we can show by this graph, second graph, and this sharp increase can be indicated by S double dash, where the highest rate of photosynthesis reached at 0.05% concentration of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide concentration. The rate of photosynthesis increases with an increase in carbon dioxide concentration. This happens under optimum conditions of temperature and light intensity. I had explained you what is optimum temperature or optimum condition, the condition which is best suited for a physiological activity to take place. Then concentration of carbon dioxide in atmosphere is only 0.03%. Its increase up to 0.1% increases the rate of photosynthesis. Beyond this, the rate of photosynthesis will decline. Temperature is the next factor. The rate of photosynthesis rises with the rise in temperature. This rise occurs up to the optimum temperature of 35 degrees Celsius. This is maximum suitable temperature when photosynthesis occurs best. With an increase in temperature above 35 degrees Celsius, the rate of photosynthesis will fall. Photosynthesis will completely stop above 40 degrees Celsius. At this uppermost limit, the enzymes are destroyed. A rise of 10 degrees Celsius up to the maximum optimum temperature, that is 35 degrees Celsius, will double the rate of photosynthesis. Means up to maximum optimum, that is 35 degrees less, means if there is a rise of 10 degrees Celsius, that will double the rate of photosynthesis. Next is water content. The scarcity of water due to reduced absorption from the soil or due to excessive loss through transpiration reduces the rate of photosynthesis. Due to closure of stomata, the diffusive capacity, carbon dioxide intake decreases the rate of photosynthesis. As we all know, only 1% of water absorbed by the root is utilized for photosynthesis, whereas rest of it is transpired into the atmosphere. Internal factors. The very first internal factor is the chlorophyll content. As we all know, chlorophyll is the very vital and important pigment of the plant. It is a green color pigment of the plant that carries out the photosynthetic process. So the nutritional deficiencies of mineral may cause the loss of chlorophyll. This brings a drop in trapping the solar energy. Second is protoplasm. Dehydration of protoplasm for some reason may also reduce the rate of photosynthesis. The accumulation of carbohydrates, that is sugar and starch, will also reduce the rate of photosynthesis because it will block the pathways. Structure of leaf. The thickness of cuticle the distribution of stomata and the size of leaf influence the amount of light and the amount of carbon dioxide entering the leaf. Next is rate of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is maximum when there is maximum light, more carbon dioxide, and a normal temperature, that is optimum temperature of 35 degrees Celsius. The rate of photosynthesis is influenced by the factor which is in short supply. So that factor will become a limiting factor, and this factor which is limiting, or that is in short supply, that factor is called the limiting factor. Less light intensity, enough carbon dioxide and suitable temperature will result in less photosynthesis. Less carbon dioxide, enough light and suitable temperature will also lead to less photosynthesis. Lower temperature, enough light intensity and suitable temperature, carbon dioxide concentration will result in less photosynthesis. Next is dawn to dusk, natural changes in environmental conditions and photosynthesis. In every period of 24 hours, plants are subjected to a regular cycle of changes in light intensities. That is, from the morning till the evening, there are different light intensities that a plant faces. The rate of photosynthesis increases from dawn to midday and declines at dusk as the dusk approaches. Plants, like other organisms, respire, taking in oxygen and giving out carbon dioxide. In light, the effect of this respiratory activity are masked by those of photosynthesis, and there is a net output of oxygen. Whereas in darkness, respiration alone is responsible for all changes in the gaseous composition of a plant surrounding atmosphere. Let us move on to carbon cycle. This is the diagram. This is the cycle representing carbon cycle. From the carbon cycle, we can see here carbon dioxide is in the air. Through the photosynthesis, it will come in the plants, forming carbon compounds in the plants. Those plants, when it is eaten by the animals, it will be formed as carbon compounds in the animals through the respiration, okay, through the urine and feces, through the death and decay of the plants and animals. They come to the soil. They are broken by the bacteria and fungi. That is, decomposition is brought about in the soil, and then carbon compounds in the they develop in the carbon compounds in the microorganisms, which upon fossilization they become fossils, and upon carbon compounds in fossil fuels, upon combustion, they again come back to the atmosphere in the form of carbon dioxide. From microorganisms also, when they carry out the process of respiration, whereas the respiration which is brought about by the plants and animals, again that is broken down to carbon dioxide that reaches the atmosphere again. So in this way, this cycle is completed. It is a series of chemical reaction in which carbon as a chemical element in carbon dioxide is removed from the air, used by living organisms in their body processes, and is finally returned to the air. Carbon is the building material of all the organic compounds found in the living cells. For example, carbohydrate, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acid. There are three reservoirs of carbon in nature, that is atmosphere, oceans, petroleum, and coal. Atmosphere is the main reservoir of carbon in the form of carbon dioxide. Some carbon dioxide is also available which is dissolved in water. Most of the carbon dioxide enters the living world through photosynthesis. Organic compounds so formed are transferred to herbivores and carnivores in the form of food. During the process of respiration, decay of dead plants and animals, and combustion of fossil fuel and wood, carbon dioxide returns to the atmosphere. It is because of carbon cycle, the proportion of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is maintained. Steps in carbon dioxide. The very first step is photosynthesis. Green plants, which are the consumers, use carbon dioxide of the air to produce carbohydrates in the form of sugar and starch. Food chain is the next step. Through food chain, the food containing carbon dioxide, carbohydrate and other products passes from plants to animals, that is to the consumers. Carbon is an essential element of all body tissues of both plants and animals. Next step is respiration. All plants and animals respire by oxidizing carbohydrates in their cells to produce energy and give out carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Next is decay. The dead remains of plants and animals are consumed by bacteria and fungi, which are the decomposers. In the process, they break down the organic matter, releasing carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. Next is combustion. When a fuel such as wood, fossil fuel like coal, petroleum or natural gas is burnt, the carbon contained in it oxidizes to carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide is given back into the atmosphere. All these fuels named originally comes from living organisms. Heating and burning of limestone in lime kilns also releases certain amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So these were the different steps. The next is imbalance of carbon cycle. We all know these days fossil fuel are being burnt on a massive scale in home, industries and transport. This steadily increases the carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere. This excess carbon dioxide cannot be consumed by plants during photosynthesis and remains in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide traps the sun's radiation energy and does not allow it to escape, which causes global warming and a greenhouse effect. Only a slight rise in temperature may cause the polar ice caps to melt. The melting of polar ice caps will raise the sea level. This may result in submerging a number of cities along the sea coast all over the world. So this is the drawback that we will be observing. So this was all about the chapter, all about the topic for the day. We will be concluding the chapter in the next session. For today's session, I have selected some questions, and these questions you are supposed to do in your copy. Very first question: name any two factors that affect photosynthesis. So you just need to name any two factors. So many factors you have studied. So any two factors you need to name that affects the photosynthetic process. Question number 2: what is optimum temperature for photosynthesis? Question number 3: how do the following favor increased photosynthesis? So what are those? That is, first one is more numerous stomata, and second one is thinness of leaf. Means how more numerous stomata favors increased photosynthesis, how thinness of leaves favors increased photosynthesis. This you have to explain. Write a short note on imbalance of carbon cycle. So this is all about the homework. I'll read the question once again. Name any two factors that affect photosynthesis. Question number 2: what is the optimum temperature for photosynthesis? Question number 3: how do the following favors increase photosynthesis? First is more numerous stomata, and second one is thinness of leaf. And the last question for the day is write a short note on imbalance of carbon cycle. You have to write it in your own words upon your understanding. So this was all for the day. Enjoy your day. Have a nice day.